Okay, Brad, so I see you want to talk a little bit about enclosure-based naming. What can you tell us about it?
Okay, so enclosure-based naming, or EBN, is the default way that Volume Manager identifies and names disks. So let's look at a situation. Let's say we got a system, we'll call it System A, and it's got two internal disks, and we've got a SAN. And let's say that there's 4 LUNs out there. Let's say these 2 are from an EMC array, and those 2 are from a Hitachi array. Okay. Each OS, of course, has their own way of naming disks, and each OS is completely different. And in fact, there's no guarantee that the names of the disks on one system are going to be the same as the names of the disks on another system. For example, let's say we have another system, and let's say this is a VCS cluster, right? So from a Linux perspective, this might be disk SDA, SDB. This guy would be SDC from this system's perspective. On this other system, SDA, SDB, this guy would be SDC. Right? So there's no correlation between the systems. It gets even worse as more disks get added. So when you're trying to identify things, especially at 3 in the morning when the customer's trying to troubleshoot something, using the OS names, especially as they're trying to talk with the SAN administrator, is basically completely a waste of time. So the whole idea of enclosure-based naming is to have common names across systems so that they can intelligently troubleshoot and communicate with the SAN team. Another benefit is when we do any kind of a reboot, the names are persistent across that reboot. Right? So if I add this to this guy, the OS names are going to vary, the enclosure-based names are not. So these LUNs will always be identified as part of an EMC array, no matter what system you're on, and these LUNs will always be identified as part of an Hitachi array, no matter what system you're on. So again, being persistent names across systems, across reboots, makes it very beneficial, makes it really easy to identify. And when you look in VOM, you'll see those names. When you look at command line, you'll see those names. And again, it really helps in how we do things with Volume Manager.
So really, the key here is, like for these disks that are attached to EMC, they might actually have an enclosure-based name starting with EMC. Same thing with the Hitachi ones. They might have a name that starts with Hitachi, or something like that. So it makes it easy to find.
Yes, and we actually work with the array vendor to determine what those default names are. Even better, the customer has the ability to actually change the names to make something more convenient for them.
Fantastic. Well, Brad, thank you very much. This makes enclosure-based naming make a whole lot more sense. So thank you very much.